I'm doing another book review of The New Age is Lying to You. This is a book I discovered in our free bookshelf down in the town where I live at, in the library, in the city hall. And it's published out of Missouri by Reverend Eldon K. Winkler, who's been researching the New Age, the cults, Satanism, and he is a Lutheran Missouri Synod. He got his divinity degree from Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, Missouri. And this book was published in 1994. And what caught my attention was I opened the book up and immediately it was talking about how chi energy is natural, whereas God is the supernatural. And so if you practice Tai Chi or Qigong or Aikido or, karate, as Cosmo says in Seinfeld, that you are conflating the natural with the supernatural of God, and therefore practicing the New Age as the occult is a kind of materialistic logical error, and therefore a sin. And it's actually a well-written book. I mean, he goes through he has a lot of Bible verses and he's critiquing a lot of he goes through the whole New Age community, whether it's Whitney Strieber for UFOs or Shirley MacLaine or all the New Age healing techniques. And acupuncture, here we go. So of course the problem is this all is based on Platonic philosophy. And so he's especially concerned that Christians are going to start practicing these New Age techniques or meditation or whatever, yoga. He's against all that. He's against all of it. And so of course if you really study, I saw this recently too with Chunyi Lin, Qigong Master Chunyi Lin's videos on YouTube they get a lot of comments because I think he's hiring some YouTube promoter company, and so you get the typical one sentence comments that people type on their cell phones with one finger, and a lot of them are just like, this is BS, but some of them are occasionally get, this is the devil, this is the and so of course when you really study Qigong, you learn that there's yin qi and yang qi, and they're both part of the body. But then there's wan qi, which is the cosmic qi, or original qi. What that technically means, original wan qi. And so that's actually what is supernatural in terms of the evangelical Christian terminology. The term supernatural applies to wan qi versus the yin qi and yang qi of the body. And you find the same thing in Indian yoga, where you have prana. Prana is part of the body, but Shakti is the wan qi, the supernatural, what in India they would call God, or Brahman, but and of course the Brahman is from the same Indo-European language root as the word God, which God actually originates. The etymology of the word God is from bull, and you can trace this back to Sumerian language etymology, which I quote. And Professor David F. Noble, the history of science professor at MIT, he got fired from MIT, but he wrote several books about, his last book was about Samaria, and he wrote, his books were on Christianity and the conflation of Christianity with Platonic philosophy. And so this book by Eldon Winkler, he's trying to claim that when Genesis in the Bible says we should have dominion over nature, that means having respect for nature. But that kind of respect should not be this kind of pagan like equivalence with nature, that the supernatural is above nature, and therefore the environmental movement and the Native Americans and the neo-pagans and all that, they're actually satanic because they're arguing that nature is supernatural. But the problem with this again is that if you study quantum physics, what you find is that first of all matter is actually made of light, and that the light as photons is actually non-local. The non-locality is based on the momentum of light being originating from time and frequency being non-local. And so this is what is meant in Qigong when you say the universe exists inside of you, is that it's due to this non-locality that's beyond spatial measurement. It's beyond distance, as Qigong master Trinity Lin says. So it actually exists in pure time. And in science, this is called primordial time or primitive time or fundamental time. And I just read one scientist calling it area time, talking about the photon as area time instead of space time. So you have this, so life actually exists in this quantum realm due to, in quantum biology, it's called negentropy, quantum negentropy or negative entropy that creates life from the non-locality. So all of our senses actually originate from this non-local quantum proto-consciousness, what Roger Penrose calls proto-consciousness. So this is what was traditionally called God, or the Logos from the book of John. There's an older, so that's the it's wrong to conflate Taoism with like the Western occult, because the Western occult is based on Freemasonry, which is actually just Platonic philosophy. And the Platonic philosophy is materialistic. It's also called materialistic idealism. So in that sense, science becomes magic. Like science is a type of magic as Freemasonry. Because Freemasonry is basically just geometry is God. That's the basic message of Freemasonry. And so, of course, I don't think he mentions Freemasonry in this book at all. Because he's coming from the Lutheran Church, and the Protestant Church, it's sort of accepted Freemasonry, whereas the Catholic Church, had problems with Freemasonry. It's accepted it too, but it's like that's a whole nother level where you get like the Templars and the Knights of Malta, and they're interwoven with the Catholic Church, and Skull and Bones. Yeah, so this book doesn't have an index, but I didn't see any mention of Freemasonry. But I'm looking at the footnotes or the endnotes, and he talks about deep ecology, and so this is what my he cites Charlene Spretnik and Fritjof Capra. So she actually sent me a nice letter, Charlene Spretnak, about my master's thesis, and wishing me the best of luck in restoring the lost logos of the original meaning of logos from the book of John, from Pythagorean philosophy. So another thing about this book is he talks about the Gnostics versus the Neo-Gnostics, and he's arguing the typical claim that the Gnostics were a later development after Christianity. But when we studied, if you studied D.M. Murdoch, who I corresponded with when she was alive, Dorothy M. Murdoch, who went by Achara S., and she documented that that Christianity really arose out of Egyptian religion, and that the Gnostics actually were from an older Egyptian alchemy as a philosophy. That's what Pythagoras trained in, or the Pythagoreans, because we don't really know if Pythagoras was a actual person or not, but and it means snake master and refers to the Kundalini, the wisdom of the snake from Egypt, where they had the cobra for the eye, the third eye, and you had to fast for 40 days and be vegetarian and practice 5 years of silence. And Peter Kingsley is the only academic he did his PhD in Pythagorean philosophy, and he argued that they were basically, Eastern yogi masters, shamans, and so somebody like Chen Yilin is actually, the Qigong master, is actually restoring that lineage from the pre-Socratic times before Plato, of this ancient healing energy that science explains as non-commutativity. And what that means is that all of modern science has been based on commutative geometry from Platonic philosophy. And so this minister, that the New Age is much more than a few, quote, fanatics sitting in yoga-like positions and, quote, meditating. Many people believe they have not heard about the New Age. They have not encountered it. That is also a lie. And then he says it goes back to the lies are as old as Satan in the Garden of Eden. So what Professor David F. Noble is talking about is how Samaria was lied about, how the original Garden of Eden story was different. It was based on the snake being positive healing energy, and this is also talked about in Kriya Yoga. Sri Yukteswar, he has a book called The Holy Science, where he talks about the actual meaning of the tree of life is the life force energy, the chi or the prana in the body, and then the tree of knowledge is the spirit, as the Holy Spirit, what in Taoism is called Wan Shen, or original spirit. It's created once you unify the yin qi and yang qi and turn it back to the wan qi, the cosmic qi, through the yin shen, the yin spirit, and the yang shen. And so yeah, it gets the Taoist Yoga Alchemy and Immortality book explains this in detail, of course, but it's very esoteric. And Chen Yilin, he just shared how his original training was to do the sword fingers for standing in with the knees bent. He did that for 6 hours a day, not just 2 hours, and that he would bicycle to the Shaolin temple in his town, in his city where he taught at the university. So he would bicycle there at 5 a.m. every day to train with the Shaolin Qigong master, and I think that was Master Yao. I'm not sure. I guess he met a lot of different masters. So he had to wake up super early to get to the Shaolin Temple by 5 a.m. and then he would train there for 2 hours, but then he would do 4 more hours of training the rest of the day, and he did that for 3 months. And he said during this time he could barely go to the bathroom. It was just because the pain was so bad from standing with the knees bent so much. And because in China at that time, they use squat toilets. And so that was some extra detail that he shared recently that I had never heard him talk about in terms of his original Qigong training to fully open his third eye. After 3 months of that training, his third eye was fully open. So that just shows that the standing exercises are really the foundation of the training, and that goes all the way back to our original human culture, the San Bushmen from over 200,000 years ago, because the DNA science now shows that the pygmies split from the San Bushmen at 220,000 years ago, and both the pygmies and the Bushmen practice the same spiritual training, where the males do this trance dancing based, like, with the knees bent, and they do that like pretty much all day long, and then they activate the San Bushmen called which means snake energy. So you have that same term, the snake energy, going all the way back from 200,000 years ago all the way up to 2,000 years ago. So that's a long time of ancient spiritual training that at the New Age, it makes the whole New Age look like a joke, because obviously that's a very ancient old age. And the New Age, of course, refers to the zodiac teaching, the age of Aquarius, and but the problem with that, the zodiac, is it's just based on the solar calendar for the most part, where life on Earth is really due to the lunar energy, and that's what the psychic yin qi is in Taoism. It's from the lunar energy, and it's basically the negative ions of the Earth being connected to this, basically like a space-time origin of the quantum negative entropy, the Wan Qi. So Qigong Master Chen Yilin, he emphasized in his recent talk on how everything originates from the yin. Like when you do long distance healing, that's what his talk was about, was how to do long distance healing. It's all based on the yin spirit, the yin shen. But actually, it's on a deeper level of the Wan Qi is yin, because it's female. It's what they call the green dragon in alchemy. So you have this, once again, you have this inherent idea that life itself is non-local, and that matter is made of light. And of course, this is like the Qigong master, like Chen Yilin, he was talking about how his teacher at Shaolin, when Chen Yi just walked into the room, the Shaolin master immediately knew what the person's what Chen Yi's blockages were in his body, physically. And of course, that's Chen Yilin's focus is medical Qigong. And so basically the Qigong master can see inside a person's body. And he even talked about how, he had said he would read people's blockages during the break class. And that's exactly what Trinity did for me, because he had said the same thing in our level 2 class that was in 2000 when I took the class, so 23 years ago. And when he looked at my kidneys from the front of the body, it felt just like a laser. I could feel the laser heat, because I asked him about my right kidney, and I felt the laser heat just on my right kidney, because I had felt some heat in my right kidney from the Qigong practice. And so I asked him what percentage my right kidney was working, because that's what he said he could read, what percentage an organ is working. And he said about 70%. But right when he said that, he was looking at me from the front, and I felt this like laser intensity of heat right just on my right kidney. And also bliss. I felt great bliss. And so I smiled and I thanked him, because I could sense that he was actually looking at my right kidney with like third eye laser energy. They call it holographic, but it's more, in fact, Trinity Lin, he read the holographic universe when he first was in the US. And he said that is an accurate depiction of what it's like. Let me see if this book quotes the holographic universe. Nope. No, it does not. He's got a bibliography, so that's good. So the Concordia has their own journal, this Concordia Seminary in Missouri. I should look them up, see what their latest Christian propaganda is. But this came up recently. There was a testimonial in Congress by somebody saying that they're against these environmental regulations or promoting renewable energy, because from the book of Genesis, God said we're supposed to dominate nature, because as humans we're supposed to align with the supernatural. And so what they're equating Western technology with Christianity, and therefore it's like, okay, well, it's okay if we care about nature, but we can't say we're on the same level with nature, and therefore any kind of extreme environmental policies are actually satanic. And so the lie of Satan is that you shall not die and you shall be like God. This is what the book is talking about. Well, again, in terms of quantum physics, we have to confront the fact that nature is based on negative entropy. And this goes back to Erwin Schrödinger's book, What is Life, in 1945. But it's something that Roger Penrose talks about also, is that the gravitational potential that powers the sun is actually from quantum negative entropy that's non-local. And it's basically this negative frequency and time reversed proto-consciousness from the future. And so that's another thing, is that when you do the deep meditation, you can get precognitive visions. And that's another experience of how physical reality is actually holographic. But one of the other things that Chen Yilin teaches is how the hand, for long distance healing, he's teaching how the hand is a detector. And the secret, he says, is that 4 of the chi channels of the hand, they go to the heart. And I know one of them is the pinky. But anyway, there's 12 main channels in the body, but 4 of them of the hand, you have 6 in the hands and 6 in the feet. But so you have, each hand would have 2 energy channels going to the heart. And the heart is the source of the Wan Qi, that's the supernatural from beyond the body and the mind. And so that's the non-locality in quantum physics, is what's called non-dualism in non-Western philosophy. And so with non-dualism, in what's called, it's the same as what's called quantum logic. You go beyond any kind of hierarchy, so the supernatural is no longer considered a hierarchy. And so, I mean, in terms of his critique of the New Age, as far as it being Platonic, if it's still based on Platonic philosophy, then I agree with his critique of the New Age. And so, but basically, he's setting up a false dichotomy, because he's against the environmental movement as deep ecology and the Green Party and stuff, without realizing that that's actually not deep enough. Like when I met Anila Wakan, who was a Lakota activist, and when I worked for Greenpeace, he invited Greenpeace out to Pine Ridge Reservation, and so my boss, Bill Bussey, he sent me out to Pine Ridge along with another Greenpeace worker. And yeah, and Anila Wakan, he told us he tried to be in the Green Party. He tried to be an activist in the U.S. Green Party, and he just said it was too Western, too racist, and that they didn't really understand, the true meaning of deep ecology. And so even this critique of the New Age is still not deep enough, because a lot of the so-called New Age is actually just the opposite of Christianity as Platonic philosophy. So the New Age is actually still Platonic philosophy. And so that's pretty much it. He's critiquing the harmonic convergence in 1987, promoted by Jose Arguelles. Well, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. What's called what I call the actual matrix plan. That's based on this Platonic philosophy of what they call the music logarithmic spiral, that Jose Arguelles was promoting from Professor Oliver L. Reiser, who worked with Esther Watson Tipple, who was the daughter of Thomas Watson, who co-invented the telephone. I think it was the telephone with Graham Bell, or maybe it was the radio and the TV. I don't know. Anyway, but they're basically theosophists, working with Freemasons, and again, it's just Platonic philosophy as the New Age. So this book kind of conflates the problem of Platonic philosophy, which is the same problem in Christian theology. It's also based on, ever since St. Augustine in the 4th century or the 5th century, the 400 AD, he was really solidified the Platonic philosophy as part of the basis of the Christian church. Actually, it goes back to the very origin of the Roman imperial Christian church from Eusebius, Eusebius was his name. He was the first one to actually create the 4 books of the Bible, of the Gospels, and basically he worshipped Constantine. He was a brown noser to Constantine, and so that's the origin of the Nicene Creed and the let's see. So it's a fascinating conflict of philosophy. Of course, in Qigong, you don't have to be constrained by the conceptual realm of thinking. So even if people want to argue with you, you don't need to argue back. You don't have to say anything, because the meditation, it's not based on thinking. It's based on what science calls proto-consciousness in quantum physics, quantum non-locality. So the proto-consciousness is an active information that's what's called formless awareness in non-Western philosophy as non-dualism. So it's this idea that there's inherent active information, but even to call it information can be problematic, because how information is defined in Western science is in different ways, because this proto-consciousness does not require a external observation as an external measurement. And so that's why even most scientists have a problem with non-commutativity, because it's inherent to quantum biology. And I just got an email reply from Professor Basil J. Hiley. He was just telling me he didn't have his critique of Jacques Sarfati from 1976. He no longer had that on file. I'm still trying to get a copy of it. It wasn't the interlibrary loan request I put in. Apparently, my local library used the Minnesota link, which did not connect with the Iowa library that I was trying to get the article from. So it has to be a direct interlibrary loan request, not using MinLink. So it's kind of a bureaucratic hang-up. So he keeps using the acronym NAM, and I guess that means New Age Movement. NAM. But, yeah, so I would say this is a fascinating book. It's mainly, obviously just a bashing of the New Age. And I would just say there's a deeper level that needs to be considered that's much more original or ancient, and yet much more advanced. And I have my free book, Ancient Advanced Acoustic Alchemy, that goes into this in more detail. It's a doctroid, and anybody can look up as a free PDF, or it's on my academia channel. And what else do we have in here? Oh yeah, he cites the he says how that President George Bush talking about the need for a new world order does not by itself identify him as a New Ager. That's a fascinating comment, because President George Bush actually did have Qigong Master Yan Shin heal George Bush 8 times. He went to the White House like 8 times to heal George Bush. And George Bush wasn't, in skull and bones. And he was basically, his family was out of the Nazis. They worked for the Nazis, and that's how they made their money originally with Prescott Bush. And he even got convicted for it. So George Bush, definitely the George H.W. Bush, he definitely was a New Ager. So what else? Is the occult? Yeah, I would say, this training is dangerous in the sense that you're dealing with extreme body mind training, and when you open up the third eye and you access the formless awareness, the emptiness, or what people call God. I prefer like the cosmic mother, but anyway, you can, like Trini Lin, he's in 2013, he started explaining, well, people overuse their psychic energy. They overuse their psychic energy, and in his recent talk, he was talking about amusement. If you use the energy for your own amusement, and that's what he means by psychic energy, is that it's based on the ego. And they talk about this problem in India, also the prana. This cities as powers can be used for the ego, and so that's the difference between the supernatural and the natural. And I would just leave it at that. Thank you.